Serena Williams, comeback story, growth mindset, video. The television glows in a quiet living room. A viewer leans back on the couch, remote in hand, flipping through channels after a long day. Suddenly, a familiar scene appears. Bright courts, a roaring crowd, and Serena Williams stepping into focus. Her face is calm but fierce, her eyes steady with determination. The camera lingers, and in that instant, the moment feels larger than tennis. It feels like a reflection of life itself. Think about it. How many times have you faced something that seemed too big, too heavy, too impossible? For Serena, it was injury, doubts, and the weight of history. For us, it might be bills stacking up, endless deadlines, or the balance of family and personal dreams. No matter who we are, life brings us to an arena where we wonder if we have the strength to keep playing. And yet, there is always that quiet voice inside. It does not shout. It does not demand. It whispers, "Try again." Serena heard that whisper. She answered it, even when people said her career was over. And maybe you, listening right now, have heard it too, in your own way. Welcome to Learn English Listening. I am Lydia, your companion on this journey. Here, we learn English not only through words, but through stories that carry courage, growth, and meaning. You will hear simple phrases in English explained clearly, so they become a part of both your vocabulary and your daily motivation. But before we move further into Serena's powerful comeback, let me ask you something. Which city are you joining us from, and what hour is it there? Share it in the comments, because this is more than a lesson. It is a community. And in this space, your story matters just as much as the words we learn together. Serena Williams did not simply glide into greatness. Her journey was cut with sharp edges, injuries that made her wonder if her body would ever obey again, headlines that doubted her, whispers that perhaps she had reached the end. In those years, the silence after surgery was louder than any stadium cheer. She faced mornings when standing up felt heavier than lifting a trophy, and nights when the question pressed in, can I really come back? That feeling is not foreign to us. For many between 25 and 40, life can feel like a never-ending marathon. Work deadlines pile up. The weight of family responsibilities sits on your shoulders. Friends post shiny pictures of their success, while you compare yourself and wonder if you are falling behind. It is not only the body that grows tired, it is the mind that quietly asks, am I enough? Serena's story mirrors that pressure. When she stepped away from tennis to recover, the world did not pause to wait. Rankings shifted. Younger athletes rose. Critics declared her era finished. She could have accepted it, but instead she sat with the discomfort, faced the doubts, and slowly began to build again. That is what resilience looks like, not pretending it is easy, but showing up anyway. If you think about it, our own struggles are rarely as public as hers, but they cut just as deep. They live in the commute home after a long day, in the sigh you release before opening another email, in the quiet moments when you admit only to yourself that you are exhausted. Yet, like Serena, the choice remains: surrender or stand up. And sometimes, that decision in the middle of an ordinary day is what changes everything. Let me ask you something. Do you sometimes feel like life is moving faster than you can catch up? Share your thoughts below, because your honesty might be the reminder another listener needs right now. When people look at Serena Williams, they often see the trophies, the medals, the bright flash of victory. What they rarely see is the hidden key that carried her through the darkest corridors of her journey. It was not just talent. It was not only training. It was something deeper, an inner code that anyone can learn. The first part of that code is mental strength. In English, this phrase means the ability to stay calm and focused when everything feels broken. Serena used it when injuries returned, when critics said she should retire, when her own body refused to cooperate. Mental strength is not about never feeling fear. It is about refusing to let fear control the final decision. The second part of that code is the phrase, never give up. Simple words, but powerful when lived out. For Serena, it meant returning to the court even when her ranking had dropped, even when she was balancing the role of a new mother. To never give up is to tell yourself, the story is not finished until I decide it is. And finally, there is come back stronger. This phrase describes what happens when failure becomes fuel. Serena did not just return to tennis. She returned sharper, wiser, and more resilient. Come back stronger is about transforming pain into power, turning obstacles into stepping stones. These three phrases are more than English lessons. They are guiding lights for anyone listening. Perhaps for you, they could mean facing Monday with courage, sending that application even after rejection, or forgiving yourself for not being perfect yesterday. The hidden key Serena carried is now in your hands. The question is, will you use it? Because sometimes all it takes is one phrase repeated in the mirror to change the course of a whole week. The world watched with disbelief when Serena Williams returned to the court after giving birth. Doctors had warned her about the risks. Commentators whispered that her best days were long gone. Even fans, loyal as they were, carried doubts in their eyes. But Serena, holding both the joy of motherhood and the weight of recovery, stepped back onto the court with a heart that refused to be quiet. Every match became more than a game. It was a test of human possibility. She battled through moments when her body seemed slower, when her breath ran out quicker, when the opponent across the net was younger, faster, hungrier. Yet she stayed. And in staying, she taught the world something unspoken. Strength is not measured by how smooth the road is, but by how many times you rise when it breaks beneath you. The crowd leaned forward in those moments of struggle. A double fault here, a stumble there, but then the surge of determination, the clenched fist, the rally that turned impossible points into victory. Her comeback was not flawless, but it was fearless. Even when she lost a set, she refused to lose her fire. And every mother, every worker, every dreamer watching saw themselves in her fight. This was the climax, not simply Serena chasing another title, but Serena showing us that failure and triumph live side by side, that you can carry doubt and courage in the same breath and still choose to play the next point. And maybe, just maybe, the bravest act is not the win itself, but the willingness to keep showing up in front of the world, scars and all. Now pause for a moment. Look at your own life. Is there one routine you'd like to break free from? Because just like Serena, your greatest breakthrough might be waiting on the other side of that single choice. When the storm finally passes, the world looks different. Trees bend, branches scatter, but roots remain. Serena's journey after injury and motherhood was like that garden after rain, shaken yet still alive. She discovered that healing is not about erasing scars, but learning to grow around them. Think of a cracked vase that holds flowers anyway. The lines do not weaken its beauty, they tell the story of survival. In the same way, Serena reframed her struggle. Instead of seeing herself as slower or older, she began to see herself as wiser, steadier, and deeply connected to the meaning of the game. We all need that reframe. Maybe you see your long hours at work as failure when they are actually proof of commitment. Maybe you see your tiredness as weakness when it is evidence of how much you have carried. The frame changes the picture, even if the picture itself stays the same. And when you change the frame, you give yourself permission to see hope where others only see exhaustion. Serena reminded us that winning is not only lifting a trophy. Sometimes it is standing tall after falling. Sometimes it is finding peace in playing at all. Healing is not only about the body. It is the quiet moment when you tell yourself, I am still here. I am still enough. So as you reflect, consider this. Storms may break branches, but they also water the soil. Perhaps what feels like your greatest setback is already preparing the roots of your next season of strength. And maybe, in ways invisible today, the seeds of tomorrow's courage are already beginning to grow. Serena Williams' comeback story is not just about tennis. It is about life itself, about how we face the moments that seem too heavy, too late, or too difficult. Her journey showed us that true victory is not measured in trophies, but in persistence. It is in saying, I will stand again, when the easier choice would be to stay down. For you, the battle may not be on a tennis court. It might be in the office where expectations feel endless, in the family where responsibilities keep multiplying, or in the quiet hours of the night when doubts press the hardest. But like Serena, you hold the power to rewrite the story. You can choose resilience. You can choose to rise. At this moment, you stand between comfort and growth. Which path will you take? If this story touched you, share it with someone who may need encouragement today. And subscribe to Learn English Listening so we can continue walking together, building not just vocabulary, but confidence, courage, and the strength to never give up. Every word you learn is another step forward. Every story we share is another reminder that your comeback is possible. The game is not finished. Your next chapter is waiting. And perhaps, like Serena, you are about to discover just how strong you really are.